It began as a dream, etched not just on paper, but in the hearts of millions. A blueprint born of hope, drawn with courage, and carried forward by the hands of a nation moving in unison. Through dust and doubt, through pressure and perseverance, Ethiopia rose. Stone by stone, year after year, vision became reality. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam stands not merely as infrastructure, but as the heartbeat of national pride, the echo of resilience, and the light forged through strength and sacrifice. So how was the GERD realized, from blueprint to power? In 1936, the dream of harnessing Ethiopia's water power first reached international drawing boards. A proposal to build a dam on Lake Tana emerged, ambitious, promising, and ahead of its time. But history had other plans. The outbreak of war between Italy and Ethiopia silenced the blueprint before it could rise. What began as a vision was buried beneath conflict and resistance. Yet even in the shadow of invasion, the dream endured, waiting for a generation bold enough to reclaim it. In the late 1950s, the Nile was mapped with precision. The U.S. Bureau of Reclamation conducted a landmark study, charting Ethiopia's water potential and laying the technical foundation for future hydropower. GERD's blueprint would later rise from these early contours. Under Emperor Haile Selassie's leadership, Ethiopia moved from study to action. The construction of Tisa Bay and Koka dams marked the nation's first steps in harnessing its rivers. These were not just engineering feats, they were declarations of intent, laying the groundwork for a future powered by self-reliance. Decades of studies, setbacks, and silent hope, the silence broke. The late Prime Minister Meles Zenawi stood before the nation and the world, announcing the birth of a project that would redefine Ethiopia's future. GERD was no longer a dream, it was declared.
ከፍተኛ የመንግስት ኃላፊዎች፣ የሳሊኒ ኮንስትራክሽን ኩባንያ ኃላፊዎች፣ የተከበራቸው የሀገራችን ህዝቦች፣ ከሁሉ በማስቀደም በሀገራችን የአዲስ ምዕራፍ በር ከፋች የሆነውና በአባይ ወንዝ ላይ የሚገነባው የሚሌኒየም ግድብ ስራ በይፋ በሚጀመርበት በዓል ላይ ለመገኘት በመቻሌ የተሰማኝን ልዩ ክብርና ደስታ በራሴና በኢትዮጵያ መንግስት ስም ለመግለጽ እወዳለሁ።
In 2013, the Nile shifted, not by nature, but by purpose. Its flow was diverted, marking a historic moment. The river bowed to Ethiopia's will, clearing the way for a new beginning. Then came motion, water surged through the diversion canal, guided by hands that labored through dust and heat. It was more than engineering, it was belief in progress. This was no solo effort. GERD rose through the collaboration of EEP, Metec, Sinohydro, Seleni, and ELC and Tractebel. Each brought expertise, but the vision remained Ethiopian. And soon, the silence gave way to sound, steel clashing, concrete pouring, engines roaring. Construction boomed. Every trench, every turbine, every scaffold was a step toward power built by the people, for the people. From diverted waters to rising walls, GERD was no longer a dream, it was becoming reality. In 2020, the waters began to rise. The first filling of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam was completed, a moment when vision turned into volume and hope into strength. This milestone was no accident. It was guided by strategic leadership, officials and experts aligning every detail, every decision, toward a shared goal. And behind them stood the nation. Federal police, military forces, and citizens all played their part, protecting, contributing, believing. The dam's progress became a collective mission. The first filling was not just a technical success, it was a triumph of unity. In 2022, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam began generating electricity for the first time. A moment of light, born from years of labor, sacrifice, and belief. The turbines turned, and with them, a new chapter in Ethiopia's energy future began. But this was not achieved simply. It was the result of relentless effort, of leaders, site managers, and diplomats who stood firm in the face of pressure. Behind the scenes, key figures worked tirelessly to defend the dam's legitimacy, navigating complex negotiations and protecting Ethiopia's sovereign right to development. And while diplomacy unfolded, the media landscape grew tense. Headlines flared, narratives clashed. International outlets escalated the dispute, framing GERD as conflict rather than cooperation. Yet through it all, Ethiopia held its ground, guided by truth, unity, and the unwavering belief that this dam was built to uplift, not divide. Power was ignited, but so was resolve. November 2025, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam stands complete, not just as concrete and steel, but as the soul of a nation, shaped by generations who dared to dream. This is the moment Ethiopia has waited for. A dream first imagined in 1936, buried by war, revived through study, and carried forward by hands that never gave up. From trenches carved in silence to turbines roaring with promise, every chapter led here. It was not easy. It took sacrifice, unity, and unshakable belief. Leaders stood firm, workers endured, citizens gave what they could. And through storms of diplomacy and waves of doubt, Ethiopia held its ground. Now the dam rises, not just to hold water, but to hold history. It carries the strength of those who built it, the pride of those who protected it, and the light for those who will inherit it. Today, Ethiopia does not simply inaugurate a dam. It celebrates a victory of vision, a triumph of resilience, a promise fulfilled. The river flows, the turbines turn, and the nation shines.